This 3D print has a whopping 38 colors, but the printer it was printed on only supports 4 filaments. It wasn't produced by an expensive color jet printer from the likes of Stratasys or a custom machine with a mixing nozzle. Nope, this was produced with a hobby-grade FDM printer. This one happens to be a tool changer, but in theory, this same technique could be achieved on an Ender 3 if you had a lot of patience. It's not a hardware innovation, it's accomplished in software space, specifically this software, a fork of SnapMaker Orca called Full Spectrum. I've been playing with this over the past couple days, and honestly, I have been blown away by the results. I genuinely think this is one of the coolest things to happen in the 3D printing industry in a long time. It might just render these obsolete, and your extensive filament collection redundant. But a lurking patent could threaten to ruin all the fun. We'll be discussing all that and more in today's video. So how did this come to be? Well, what started as a proof of concept from this Reddit user inspired another to implement it in the slicer. And in a matter of hours, yes, hours, he had done it. User Beyblade Table on Reddit, known as Ratdu on Discord, created an alternative version of SnapMaker Orca with support for virtual filaments, a programmatic way of reproducing the effect Aceman demonstrated. And what's even crazier than how quickly Ratdu accomplished this is that he did so without access to the hardware required to test it. The technique was designed with the SnapMaker U1 in mind, but Ratdu didn't have one. So he turned to the community to ask if anyone was willing to test it on his behalf. And test it they did. The news spread quickly, and as the makes started to pour in, word eventually got back to SnapMaker themselves, who graciously offered up a U1 for Ratdu to test with. I mean, why wouldn't they? They'd have been silly not to. This is an absolute blessing of a marketing opportunity for them. They stand to gain a lot, considering that this technique was designed with their printer in mind. It's not exclusive to it, it just happens to be particularly well suited, given that it's a tool changer. Which is part of the reason why Ratdu chose to implement his method in the SnapMaker specific fork of OrcaSlicer, not the main branch. The other being that it was a sheltered place for it to grow, with a dedicated community already built around it. And that community, inspired by this concept, has been hard at work, sharing ideas in the Discord forum on how to improve the results. While it is possible to use this technique on a single nozzle printer, it isn't really something you'd want to try. The purge waste generated would be enormous, because the magic that makes this happen is the alternation of colors in every layer. The innovation of Full Spectrum is that it adds the ability to define virtual filaments, shades and colors that fall in between the real ones you have loaded, or new ones altogether, like orange from yellow and red, or pink from red and white. You may have already tried this method accidentally. This phenomena has long been observed on purge towers, where filaments intermingle organically. Full Spectrum gives you a way to implement this effect intentionally. By alternating colors from layer to layer, or every couple of layers, we can control the perceived results. A 2:1 ratio of yellow to blue gives a nice shade of green. By adjusting this slider, we can adjust the pattern and the shade of the color that results. A 50-50 mixture would see the color changing every layer, blue, yellow, and so on, which would produce a darker green. We can even have gradients with 3 filaments, like this red, yellow, blue combo, that gives a purplish brown, or define our own custom patterns. For now, you have to eyeball it in order to achieve the desired results. But in an upcoming release, we'll have the ability to specify a particular hex code and have that determine the required pattern. If you look closely, you can still make out the individual colors, but as you zoom out, they start to blend together. This is similar to the phenomena employed by HueForge, but in the z-axis rather than the xy plane. In that case, different layers of filament are stacked to create gradients. In this way, white and black can be combined to create gray. The translucency of the material determines how much light will pass through, and therefore how many layers of each color need to be added to achieve a particular shade. This is parameterized by the so-called transmission distance, the distance in millimeters that light will penetrate the material. So a filament with the transmission distance of 4.3, like this white PLA, would completely attenuate the light over a distance of 4.3 millimeters, which is 43 layers at a 0.1 millimeter layer height. Typical black filaments with a TD of 0.1 will block all light with just a single layer. On the other hand, translucent filaments like these have TDs in the teens. In HueForge, that information is important, because it informs the software how many layers of each color to add in order to achieve the desired result. In full spectrum, there's no ability to define transmission distance, yet. So what you see won't always be what you get, which is where a model like this, designed by Hunter Cook, comes in very handy. It's a test palette of all the different combinations of 4 filaments. This one used all opaque filaments, red, yellow, blue, and white. This one used transparent filaments, cyan, magenta, yellow, and gray. As you can tell, one of these looks considerably better than the other. With more opaque filaments, lower TD, the alternation of colors is more obvious. With more transparent filaments, the blending is much better. But why? Because when you view this from an angle, you're seeing not just the yellow or blue layers of the outer shell, but also the inner perimeters for the layers of the opposite color. So while in isolation you see blue and yellow, together they make green. But translucency isn't the only parameter affecting the results. The other big one is layer height. And this is where physics meets biology. The smallest distance the human eye can perceive is 0.1 millimeters, which is why these results at a layer height of 0.08 look so good. The eye can't perceive the distance between the layers, so they blur together. The effect will start to fall apart faster with thicker layers. With low layer heights, we can mix colors in a 1:1 ratio, 2:1, or even 3:1 with good results. So from 4 input colors, we can get 39 mixed shades. With a thicker layer height like 0.2, anything above a 2:1 ratio will start to show banding. So for best results, we're limited to 18 possible combinations. For a more detailed explanation of the nuances involved here, I highly recommend you check out the deep dive video by Wombly Wonders. So translucent filaments and low layer heights give the best results for this technique. But there's another factor at play: the geometry. Unlike a hue forge that works by stacking layers one on top of the other in a horizontal plane, the color blending phenomena employed by full spectrum works on the vertical axis. So when slopes start to get shallow, it begins to fall apart. This wedge model shows that effect exactly. As the slope gets shallower and the layers start to spread apart, the colors are no longer in close enough proximity to visually blend together. And the further you go, the worse it gets. The transparent filaments printed with lower layer heights actually hold up pretty well. Even at 70 degrees, we're seeing blended shades of purple, green, and orange. But the equivalent slope printed with 0.2 layers shows discrete regions of cyan, magenta, and yellow. The same model printed with opaque filaments falls apart even sooner. We're starting to see visual separation as soon as 45 degrees. With thinner layers, we can do one better. But top and bottom surfaces are definitely going to be the Achilles heel of the full spectrum method, with no blending whatsoever. For a completely flat top surface, the effect is lost entirely. But maybe it doesn't have to be. So this is the point in the video where I'd usually tell you about today's sponsor, but this isn't that. I'm not going to tell you about a VPN provider, a meal kit service, or anything else you don't need. I'm going to tell you about a personal project of mine I've been working on over the past year that might just change the way you print. I've been secretly building my dream 3D printer dashboard. One place where I can monitor, control, and dispatch jobs to my entire fleet. This solution is 100% cloud free, and it's blazing fast. No more looking at one camera at a time. I've got 40 printers streaming in real time, all the time. And I can view them on any device, even when I'm away from home. Watchtower can run your entire fleet from a single Pi, or you can run it straight from your desktop. Just double click to launch it. And once you're in, setup is a breeze. All of your printers will be auto-discovered, so you just need to select them from the list. You can not only monitor your printers and check on their status, you can also control them. One interface for all of your Bamboo, Clipper, PrusaLink, and Octoprint printers. And we've built in full support for multicolor systems, AMS, CFS, MMU, and tool changers too. With the job queuing features, you can send prints direct from your slicer and have them auto-routed to the most compatible printer based on type and filament requirements. No reslicing required. It handles the filament remapping for you. And if you're a business owner, you can import orders from your e-commerce store, map the SKUs to your project files, and have print jobs start automatically as soon as the order comes in. It feels a little like magic. Print farm management software can be expensive, often charging between $4 and $5 per month per printer for life. And for this reason, it's really only viable for businesses. Watchtower is by makers for makers, which is why we're offering the basic version completely for free. And if you want the advanced features, we'll be offering a limited run of lifetime licenses. So if you buy it, you own it. And this is just the beginning.
10 pending orders totaling $592.02.
If you want to be among the first to know when we launch, join our mailing list at the link in the description. I may be biased, but I wholeheartedly believe that this is going to change the way you print, and I'm so excited to let you check it out. All right, back to the video. Where were we? Right, top surfaces. So we know there's a limitation, but can we work around it? Well, as it turns out, there's an extension to the full spectrum method currently being developed by another member of the community. They call it surface weaving. By adding vertical jitter to the top extrusions, the color from the layer below is able to penetrate through, literally like weaving a fabric, which could enable the extension of color blending to all surfaces of the part, not just the side walls. The developer of this was the original architect behind ironing, which was incorporated into version 2.7 of Cura way back in 2017. And, well, the rest is history. Weaving is still a work in progress, but it's in good hands. So now we need to address the elephant in the room. How long do these prints actually take, and how much waste do they generate? Well, there seems to be a lot of misconceptions on both those points. When you first see a print accomplished using this method, you might assume that it took a long time to produce or that it generated a lot of waste. But in reality, the waste is only marginally more than an equivalent 4-color print. We're visiting the prime tower more often, but that only requires a small amount of extrusion to stabilize the flow. So the overall waste production is approximately equal. The second part of the equation, time, is a factor. For best results, 0.08 is the preferred layer height. So print times will be a bit more than double those for a standard 0.2mm profile. And there's also the tool change time that needs to be accounted for. This cactus model required 486 tool changes, with each one taking around 6.5 seconds on the SnapMaker U1. So the overall time spent tool changing was 52 minutes. So had you just printed this with regular old brown and green PLA, you could have produced 2 in the time it took to produce 1 using full spectrum. But where this method really shines is not in creating colors you could otherwise buy, but ones you couldn't. Sure, there's a huge variety of colors available to buy off the shelf, but to own all of them is impractical. And oftentimes, expectation doesn't match reality. What you think looks like a nice shade of green on the screen might be too light or too dark when you see it in person. With full spectrum color blending, you can iterate and tweak the color to your heart's content, achieving shades that filament manufacturers just don't sell, like tangerine orange, lemon lime green, or pinkish purple. And even if you could buy every color under the sun, you'd need a way to load them on your printer. This printer only supports 4 filaments, so that's the most we could print at a single time. The Prusa XL has 5, and Index might take us up to 12, but that's still a far cry from 39. From now on, I could just buy cyan, magenta, yellow, and white, and I'd be set. With 5 tool heads, we can add both white and black, so we can create light and dark shades of all of the colors. Any color I need, I could create it, at least for now. Remember that pesky patent I mentioned at the beginning of the video? Yeah, here it is. It describes a method for achieving color gradients that sounds precisely like the method employed by Full Spectrum. So you might be thinking, oh wow, some unsavory individual took inspiration from this open source project and is trying to commercialize it. But the way patents work, this would have been filed at least a few months prior to its publication date. And it was, back in January of 2026. It's still pending review, not fully granted yet. One thing that stands out as interesting about this application is the supporting images. This test appears to have been printed on a bamboo printer, likely the H2D or H2C. Notice how all of the filaments appear quite opaque, and the top surfaces are perfectly well blended. 2 things the full spectrum method struggles with. So perhaps this implementation isn't identical after all. If this patent does get granted, that could be a problem. If this party was passionate enough to file the patent in the first place, there's a good chance they'll be passionate enough to try to protect it. And that might mean issuing a takedown notice for Full Spectrum. I'm not a lawyer, so take this with a grain of salt. But this isn't a global patent, it's a Chinese patent. So the open source project should be safe. But it may prevent SnapMaker, a Chinese company, from merging the changes back to the main branch of their slicer. And likewise for bamboo. So Full Spectrum may only ever exist in its dedicated branch of the mainline slicers, maintained by the community. But maybe that's just how it's meant to be. But I'd love to know what you think. Is this a technique you'd consider trying? And if so, how would you use it? Let me know in the comments down below. My name's Taylor, this is YGK 3D, and until next time, happy full color 3D printing.